Larana, live from the very center of the universe, Canton, Ohio. Yay. Thank you for being with me. Welcome to Rose Garden Radio. If it's your first time, Rose Garden Radio is dedicated to helping you shift from what we call 3D, the world you're living in, to 5D, living more fully from your spiritual heart and living your dream life, which you absolutely can. Today I'm going to do a little hybrid show. As you know, you're helping me review my final edit of A Weekend with Aunt Larana. But before we do that, I usually do a pie story. That's a real story from a member of our community. And today I have one that involves me a little bit. It's a real story, and it's but I'm doing my theme, just short little stories of what I call when lightning hits your pie. And this is, I'll explain, but let me draw. Usually I start with a circle. Let me get a pen that works. This is the pie. And I always put a dot in the center. This is your spiritual heart. This is where your life really comes from. Your dream life, your 5D life. It's the dream you have, the thoughts you have, the fantasy you feel that you have, but it is where the true 5D life starts. Not in the mind, it starts in the heart. And then you imagine a lot of times what that will be like, and that's all you need to do. And I call it pie because P-I-E, because why? Because it is as easy as pie to do this. So once you get it, you'll have many pies to churn out. But let's start just with one, yours right now. And I'm going to tell you this story because one of the things that I want to impress upon today is that if you don't have a plan or a desire, or you think you don't, you really do. Sometimes something is going on, whether you know it or not. So let me share this story, and maybe I can just sort of highlight and get across what I mean by this. So the first step is to have that desire. Well, and that's what I mean. If you have a desire, you're baking a pie. That's how I want to sum it up. You're making a pie, but you don't know it. So my neighbor was making a pie, kind of putting it out there, and didn't know it. And it all came down kind of after everything happened. So let me explain. Let me need a marker. So I'm thinking, should I start at the end, or should I tell you how I found this all out? So I think I'm going to do the story how I experienced it. And this is a true story. So, I don't know, maybe this happened, let's say it happened last week, because I think that's when it happened, last Sunday, but it doesn't matter. And, but maybe just a couple days before it happened, and, I'm very intuitive, but Miss Larana was looking at my neighbor's truck, which is parked on the street, because in my neighborhood, a lot of, we have 1-car, 2-car garages, but a lot of people also have to park on the street. So my neighbor always parked on the street. So I would always see that that truck. But a couple of days ago, or prior to the events, I thought, I wonder I wonder if so and so is thinking about getting a new truck. Or I thought, I wonder how old their truck is. I wonder if they're going to get a new truck. Now, why would I even think that? Because their truck wasn't that old. It was in beautiful condition. And if you saw it, you would probably think it was brand new. But that thought came into my consciousness. So there was a pie being, you know, put together without my neighbor knowing it. And then, so last Sunday night, I was in bed. I had just stuck on a Hallmark movie, right? And rolled over just to fall asleep. And it was pretty late. It was almost 2 o'clock. I stay up late, a lot of times even later, but it was around 2. And I heard this, and I sleep with my windows open because I don't like air condition, and it was a beautiful night. But I heard boom, something like that. I shot out of bed. I looked out the window, and there was this huge SUV that had run into my neighbor's truck. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, right? And I called 911, and while this was happening, this person who committed a hit and run because they were trying to get disengaged. And all I remember is I yelled out the window, don't leave. But by the time I, called, they were gone, but I could hear their wheel was really bad. I didn't think they were going to get far. And when I called the police, I said, I believe they've headed north on, my street. And if you could just maybe try to find them, they're not going to get far. Their car is trashed. I think their wheel is shredded. It does is a going down the street, right? So anyways, this all came down. The police came, and I noticed the car was parked differently. Every night, my neighbor would park in the exact same place. Like if you got out of the car, there would be their front door, like right in front of their walkway. But that night, they had parked about, I don't know, maybe 5 yards or, just 30 feet, 20 feet where they normally don't park. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, of all the nights to park in a different spot. And then this happened, right? But the next day, my neighbor came over, and he said, no, I always park in the same place. And that impact of that big SUV had pushed their car like, 5 yards or whatever it was, that 20, 30 feet. It was just such a horrible thing, right? That hit and run. Anyways, right, we were chatting, no need to get into the minutia, but right before he left, he said to me, I was thinking about getting another car. Lightning struck his pie, right? It struck it. Now, he didn't have a plan. It was just a thought. Maybe I'll get another vehicle. Just a fleeting thought. But sometimes when you have that desire and it comes deep in your heart, that is a command. And whether you know it or not, or you really, you really want that, or you're expecting that, or any of that, that everything was, it came down and it happened. Now my neighbor's getting a new car, a truck. It's a truck. He's getting a new truck because his is totaled, right? So my point is, if you have a desire, you are making a pie, and it's important to realize that that's happening, right? because you want to participate in that. You want to plan maybe not every detail, because you really just have to hold the desire. But I guess I'm trying to say, really know your desire. I'd really like to have a new car, but in a really great way or something like that. I don't know. And maybe I'm just all wet. Maybe you hold the desire and it's going to come down like that. Maybe that was the way it was going to come down, because this person maybe was really didn't act right away, or I just don't know. I don't know, but if you have a desire, you're making a pie. That's, I guess, what I want to know. Whether you want to know it or not, it's happening. So let's maybe participate and know and be aware of the ingredients and what we're putting in our pie. That's my point. Just don't, take any old pie that comes along, right? Or just be forced. Here's your pie. You're the chef. You're the creator of this pie. And the more you know that, the better off we'll all be. So anyways, with that said, woo! Thanks for the little, it wasn't that short, was it, when lightning hits your pie? But this was an unusual circumstance. So let's see. I'm not going to take too much time, but I'm going to read a little bit of the next section. And where we left off, Aunt Larana was out in the garden, and she realized that the house had everything. They were in another time. Now they were in 1776 in France. And let's see. Let me see if I can get this up. Oh, there we go. And now Amy had just walked out when we left off last week. And so this is in her voice. Amy is now in the back garden with Aunt Larana. I felt like something was off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Maybe it was the garden. It looked so much better than I remembered. Let me write that "so" in there, because I am editing as we go. My aunt must have put a lot of time into it this year, I thought. Amy, what you are sensing is exactly right. The energy in the atmosphere around us is different, my aunt's voice replied to my unspoken question. It startled me for a second, because that is exactly what I was sensing. I looked over in her direction and immediately noticed that she was wearing a very exotic ball gown. My eyes were seeing one thing, but my mind was having trouble comprehending it, and I started to become overwhelmed. Honey, the desire you felt deep in your heart last night has been granted. We're in Paris, and it is the afternoon before the Ambassador's Ball of 1776. Your desire to know if Benjamin Franklin would remember me, and now us, is being fulfilled. This experience is a gift, and right after, we should be returning home to Canton. Aunt Larana said calmly. You are truly magical, Amy. I felt sort of weird. My mind and physical body I feel sort of weird. My mind and physical body feel like they are separating from each other and going into different orbits, I said, barely able to breathe. It's a lot to comprehend. Take a breath and let it out slowly, Aunt Larana said, while putting her arm around my waist to steady me. Fortunately, I remember exactly what I did before going to the ball the first time. We will do all the same things and see what happens. So that's all I'm going to do today because I had a kind of longer pie story. But thanks for being with me. Thanks for being you. Thanks for being willing to take a chance and change your life because you can. And I believe in you and it's all possible. So I love you all so much. And until next time, take care.